Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2024 be suspended to enable the House seat from 09 to 13 hours on Wednesday, 23rd October 2024. We sure hope that you're going to stay with us until adjournment. Just now, live pictures on your screen as we wait for the Speaker's procession. Good afternoon.
Honorable members of Parliament, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, dealer.
And the sing of Zambia, proud and free, land of faith and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our right. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those to blend. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun, oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Green and we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you've been pleased to call to the to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessings descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant as we may in your presence, and treat all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so unjust a faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace and prosperity of our country and those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament television. Bells are ringing. The quorum hasn't yet been constituted. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament must be present for any business to transact. And so once the quorum has been formed, we expect the business of the House to begin.
All right, so in case you just tuned in, we did give a rundown of what is expected today, Tuesday, 22nd October. Would we expect Her Honor the Vice President to move a motion that Standing Orders 24 and 27 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2024 be suspended to enable the House to sit from 09 hours to 13 hours. That's on Wednesday, 23rd October 2024.
We also have a ministerial statement that is expected to be presented by the Minister of Energy. This is on the erratic fuel supply being experienced in the country.
And of course, the House is expected to consider 7 questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 80. And so as we await for a quorum to be constituted, we'll go through some of the questions that will be transacted on the floor of the House.
We expect question number 46 to come from Dundumwezi, Member of Parliament, Mr. Edgar Singombe, and he's directing his question to the Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development. He wants to find out how many marketeers applied for booster loans under the Marketeer Booster Loan Program countrywide in 2022 and 2023 year by year, and of the applicants above, how many benefited from the program in Dundumwezi Parliamentary constituency.
Ms. Nyerenda of Lundazi will ask the Minister of Education when the construction of a secondary school funded by the World Bank in Nyangwe area in Lundazi district to commence, what the cause of the delay in commencing the project is, and what is the estimated timeframe for the completion of the project.
Kalabo Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Chinga Miyutu, is expected to ask the Minister of Health what the prevalence rate of prostate cancer in the country was as of April 2024, and what the most affected age group was, and what measures have been taken to enhance prostate cancer awareness countrywide.
Gwembe Constituency Member of Parliament, Mr. Simuzingiri, will ask the Minister of Education whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate Chippewa boarding secondary school in Gwembe district, which is in a dilapidated state. If so, when the plans will be implemented, what the cost of the exercise is, and what the time frame for undertaking exercise is, and if there are no such plans, why.
Fair Member of Parliament, Mr. Emmanuel Tembo, is expected to ask the Minister of Agriculture whether the government is aware of the stored irrigation project under the Strengthening Climate Resilience of Agriculture Livelihood in agroecologic regions in Katondwe Ward in Fera Parliamentary Constituency? And if so, what measures the government is taking to complete the project, and what the estimated cost of completion of the project is, and when the project will be completed?
Mr. Menyani Zulu of Nyimba constituency will ask the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate staff houses at Nyimba Police Camp in Nyimba District. If so, when the plans will be implemented, and if there are no such plans, why?
The last question on the order paper today, Tuesday, 22nd October 2024, is expected to come from Isoka Member of Parliament, Ms. Marjorie Nakaponda, and she's directing her question to the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry. She wants to find out what the ownership structure of Mulungushi Textiles in Kabwe District is, and what the major challenges that hamper the company's operations are. And in the last part of the question, she wants to find out when the company will resume its operations.
So that's what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today, Tuesday, 22nd of October 2024. As we await for a quorum to be constituted, 1/3 of members of Parliament need to be present in order for business to be transacted. So as soon as a quorum is constituted, business will resume. So we do expect you to stay tuned right here on Parliament Television. Good afternoon.
Honorable members, I have received communication to the effect that in the absence of our Honor the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Defense, Honorable Ambrose L. Lufuma MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, 22nd October 2024, until further notice. I thank you. Honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of students and lecturers from Creso University in Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. Honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Matero Boys Secondary School in Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. The last announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from St. John's School in Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. Notice of motion. The acting leader of government business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the standing orders number 24 and 27 of the National Assembly of Zambia, standing orders 2024, be suspended to enable the House to sit from 9 hours to 13 hours on Wednesday, 23rd October 2024.
The question is, standing orders 24 and 27 of the National Assembly of Zambia, standing orders 2024, be suspended to enable the House to sit from 9 hours to 13 hours on Wednesday, 23rd October 2024. Any debate? The acting leader of government business.
Mr. Speaker, as the House is aware, the country will be celebrating 60 years of independence on Thursday, 24th October 2024. Standing Orders 24 outlines the days and times of sitting, while Standing Order 27 provides for automatic adjournment. It is therefore necessary to suspend these standing orders so as to accord members ample time to travel to their various constituencies after adjournment on Wednesday, 23rd of October 2024, to celebrate the 60 years of Zambia's independence with their constituents. Mr. Speaker, as honorable members commemorate the 60th anniversary of our nation's independence with their constituents, I wish to encourage them to honor the sacrifices of our founding fathers and mothers who fought for our freedom, and also teach our children the significance of this day on our national calendar. Mr. Speaker, this year's independence celebration is a significant milestone as it speaks to the peace and unity that have prevailed in our country's history since we gained self-rule in 1964. In that regard, members are therefore encouraged to actively participate in Zambia's Diamond Jubilee independence celebrations in their various constituencies with a deep sense of pride and patriotism. Sir, this is a procedural and non-controversial motion. I therefore urge all members to support it. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Kantanshi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, this is a non-controversial motion that has been laid by the executive. But, Mr. Speaker, in supporting it, I think that it will be important for us as leaders, as we are gathered here. I heard the acting leader of government business reminding us of the struggles of our forefathers and how we got to where we are to celebrate this 60th Diamond Jubilee. But Mr. Speaker, if we asked ourselves as leaders, have we really been as selfless as the people who made it possible for us to celebrate the independence that we're celebrating today, or will be celebrating the day after tomorrow? I think that we have a lot of work as leaders. And I think it is very important that we don't shy away from accepting our failures. Because how can we go and celebrate with pride in the midst of the high levels of poverty? How do we go and celebrate with pride when 60 years down the line we have failed to provide electricity, water, and sanitation? At least we are happy that free education has been reintroduced. That at least is worth being talked about. But if you look around, Mr. Speaker, all the challenges that we're facing today, we can easily turn them into achievements by working together and by making sure that we do apply the right attitudes as we serve in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, as I wind down to sit, I tend to wonder every day the opportunities that we have in this country. If you look at sectors like mining, which is the backbone of our economy, today it's filled with rampant casualization, a sector which is the backbone of our economy. And yet here we have people who have progressed, served in the mines, served various sectors, but we are not getting the necessary output we deserve in terms of the wealth we're supposed to create for our people. So as we go back, Mr. Speaker, each one of us in here needs to take a serious introspect in as far as the contributions that we are advancing to the communities that have sent us here. So it will not be just worth it to be there and smile and jubilate with the people when we know that the challenges that lie ahead, we can easily turn them into achievements. So, Mr. Speaker, in supporting the non-controversial motion, at least the executive will have something to think about as we go to celebrate in our various communities. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And indeed, as I support the motion that has been moved by the executive, which indeed is a non-controversial motion. Mr. Speaker, it's clearly true that we need to suspend those standing orders in order to allow your respective members of parliament to traverse going back to their respective constituencies. Mr. Speaker, Zambia will be celebrating 60 years, which is a Diamond Jubilee, and each one of us, we need to reflect of what we have achieved. Each one of us, we need to reflect of what we have contributed to the well-being of Zambia. Mr. Speaker, as leaders, we need to be in the forefront in ensuring that we contribute positively to the well-being and to the economic development of our country. Mr. Speaker, I remember one popular figure, may he so rest in peace, Mr. Chama Chakomboka from Rwansha. At one time, he mentioned it to us, the young ones, that he knew where the wealth of this country laid in terms of mineral resources. And true to his words, this country is endowed, Mr. Speaker, with a lot of wealth across the breadth and width of our country. And this is the time that we need the government to actually critically look on how we are going to utilize, on how the government, the people of Zambia are going to benefit from this wealth. 60 years of independence, Mr. Speaker, we need every household at least to be comfortable. Mr. Speaker, we also need to ensure that we work towards embracing one another. It's just last week that this country had to bow down to the Almighty God to actually pray for the better rains this year. We need to come together, Mr. Speaker, in the thickness, in the challenges, in the difficulties of this country. We need to come together and work as one entity. Mr. Speaker, pointing fingers, accusing each other will not help this country. So as leaders, we need to go back to our people and celebrate with them this important day of our nation, which is the Independence Day. And of course, not forgetting those people, Mr. Speaker, who labored, who suffered, who shed some of their blood towards the emancipation of our country, some of whom are still living. Mr. Speaker, I am urging the government that it's time that we should start looking after those people. Most of the time, we always want to remember the good that they did when they are no more. It's important, Mr. Speaker, that the executive must start taking stock of which freedom fighter is still living, so that we can embrace, we can take care of them whilst they are living. Mr. Speaker, the Bemba adage says, Mayompa pana inenka kupapa, and the same Bemba adage says, Kolwea kota asabiro nabana, meaning, Mr. Speaker, that as the people who are enjoying the fruits and the freedom of independence, which was fought by our people, our forefathers, some of whom have passed on, some of whom are still living, it is our turn, Mr. Speaker, to put them on our shoulders. It's our turn, Mr. Speaker, to put them on our backs so that they can also feel the comfort of their struggle, feel the comfort of the sweat that they did while they're fighting for this independence. Mr. Speaker, this is indeed a non-controversial motion, and I support it as I go back to Ron constituency to celebrate with the people of Ron constituency, knowing very well, Mr. Speaker, that in Ron constituency, we shall be celebrating well this time around because 28 shaft is up and running. Mr. Speaker, knowing very well that we shall be celebrating this independence, knowing that the road that was giving us headache, that is the Masangano-Rwansha Road, is open now and we are running on it. Mr. Speaker, I support the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Acting Leader of Government Business will wind up debate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity that Parliament today to support the non-controversial economic issues that besiege our country today. Nevertheless, peace, unity and tranquility is a prerequisite to any type of development in any country. And as such, we must celebrate it. We must celebrate the people who fought for this independence. And that goes without saying, because we have enjoyed 60 years of peace. 60 years of peace. If you look around the world today, there are very few countries that have managed to have 60 years of uninterrupted peace. And so it calls for all of us, as we go back, to go and celebrate with our constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank you.
I put the question. The question is that Standing Orders 24 and 27 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, be suspended to enable the House to sit from 9 hours to 13 hours on Wednesday, 23rd October 2024. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Urgent matters without notice. The Honorable Member Fonkana.
Mr. Speaker, I rise on a matter, and which matter I present to the Minister of Defense. Mr. Speaker, under the Minister of Defense are defense wings, Zambia Army, Zambia Air Force, and ZNS. I'm a young man who grew up in the National Service Camp. The recent past, there's been very disturbing reports, Mr. Speaker, that the Zambia Army, 60 years of independence, a wing that was established to protect our territorial integrity, to protect our sovereignty, is now threatening the peace that this country has enjoyed for 60 years. Mr. Speaker, so many reports, namely these infamous decisions of the new army commander to demote officers, which is against the establishment, but that is not why I'm rising. I am rising on two instances, Mr. Speaker. The army officers in Mufrira went into the streets of Mufrira, Mr. Speaker, to beat innocent people. In the incidents, a member of parliament was caught up in the crossfire. Property was destroyed. Just 2 days ago, Mr. Speaker, the same incidents happened in Ndola. Army officers went in the streets, again, beat mercilessly anyone and anything they found living, destroyed property, and in the process, one of the members of parliament had their property destroyed.
Order. Your time is up, honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, is the Minister of Defense...
Your time is up?
No, Mr. Speaker.
It's up.
No, Mr. Speaker.
2 minutes is up.
Yeah, but I'm asked now.
May you take your seat? 2 minutes is up. Honorable members, we all know our standing orders and we are guided by the rules. And these matters are timed. Apparently, our standing orders are quite specific that if a matter of urgent without notice has to be precise. Order. The matter has to be precise, meaning that you have to ensure that you raise one substantive issue. But I think you're on record yourself that you are raising 2 matters. As a result, it can't be admitted. The Honorable Member for Kantanshi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, I'm equally rising on a matter that is urgent and of public importance, and it's directed to the leader, the acting leader of government business. Since the Minister of Finance is not in the House, is on other duties. Mr. Speaker, last week on Thursday, I did raise a concern that had to do with the budget integrity, and that had to do with the unremitted resources to the Ministry of Finance for the ministry to spend on the various activities. I was guided, Mr. Speaker, that I raise an urgent question, but just after that, another report came out that, again, the ministry is facing challenges to collect close to 9 billion, which was also part of the budget, part of the revenues, the anticipated revenues, which, again, is challenged in terms of collection. Now, Mr. Speaker, a budget is a shopping list which has to be, which has to correlate with revenues. And in the absence of those revenues, it becomes difficult to execute the budget. Now, we are aware, Mr. Speaker, that for the budget to be credible, the expenses have to be aligned to the revenues. And there are those expenses that came up to respond to the drought challenge that clearly are under threat. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm seeking some form of indulgence from you so that we can get from the Ministry of Finance the necessary assurance that, you know, even with this, the identified challenges of collecting these resources which were budgeted for in terms of revenue, our budget will still remain
Order, honorable member.
And will not be
The time is up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Time is up. It's good that you have acknowledged that last week on Thursday you were guided to put in a question. And I guess today you know that it's a Tuesday. I don't know whether you've started processing your question. If you haven't, ensure that other concerns are incorporated so that when the minister is coming to respond, he will do the needful. That's my guidance. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My matter of urgent matter without notice is directed at the Minister of Home Affairs, who is not around. I believe the acting leader of business can take it up. There are serious reports from various media organizations, media platforms, where it's reported that the 60th Republican former President Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu was attacked during the funeral in Chingola during the burial of the two brothers to Honorable Kambwiri. Zambians, as well as people on the Copper Belt, would want to know the truth as to what transpired on such allegations that are coming through, especially that it's being targeted at the UPND family, that these are the ones that are responsible for such atrocities, and also that food was actually destroyed, including chairs and where the people are supposed to eat from. I would like to find out from the Honorable Leader of Government Business on the position, the actual position, so that the Zambians can know the truth. I seek your serious indulgence, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I instruct the Minister of Home Affairs to come up with a ministerial statement on Tuesday next week to put this issue on the floor of the House. Thank you. Let's make progress. Our standing orders say that there will be only 3 matters that will be looked at. So I think we've exhausted our numbers. Let's make progress. I've permitted the Minister of Energy to present a ministerial statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I wish to thank you for according me this opportunity to issue a ministerial statement on the fuel situation in the country in response to an urgent matter without notice raised by Honorable Binwe Mpundu, Member of Parliament for Nkana constituents. Mr. Speaker, as you may be aware, Zambia imports all its petroleum products either by road or through the pipeline. Currently, the country consumes 3.8 million liters of diesel and 1.6 million liters of petrol daily. The majority of diesel comes through the Tazama pipeline, while petrol, kerosene, jet A1, which is 20% of the diesel consumption, are imported via the road transportation. Mr. Speaker, May I also take this opportunity to inform the August House that the New Dawn administration disengaged from the procurement and financing of petroleum products in 2022. This policy shift was driven by the following issues in the petroleum subsector. One, the previous administration had accumulated a debt close to $1 billion United States dollars on the supply of petroleum products due to inefficiency in the management of supply to the contracts. It was the desire of this administration to provide efficiency in pricing and supply chain so as to pass on the benefits to the Zambian people. The inefficient operations at Indeni refineries, coupled with double handling of petroleum products, proved costly and led to a high pump price on the market. The option of disengaging from the fuel procurement and financing is an inclusive approach to the development being spearheaded by the New Dawn administration, meant to promote an efficient and responsive petroleum subsector. I wish to confirm to this House that in the last 14 days, we have indeed been having challenges in the petroleum subsector, leading to a stressed fuel supply chain. Our findings indicate that, one, there was a delayed berthing of a ship carrying petrol at the port of Beira. This led to congestion as some of the OMCs on the Zambian market with major market share had locked orders for petrol which was on this vessel. And two, Mr. Speaker, the Zimbabwean government has introduced transit depots for trucks transiting through Zimbabwe with petroleum products to prevent transit fraud. The transit deposit is in the range of 22,000 United States dollars to 30,000 United States dollars per truck, which increases the demand on operating costs for OMCs using this route. In order to avoid paying transit deposit, some OMCs have rerouted their trucks through Chanida border, which is 400 kilometers longer than transiting through Zimbabwe. This has not only increased the turnaround, but also increased the cost of transportation. Mr. Speaker, despite these setbacks, petroleum products have continued to be supplied through the pipeline and the road network across the country. The Ministry of Energy has been engaging all the stakeholders in order to avert any major crisis during this period. In the immediate term, the Ministry has, through the Energy Regulation Board, been engaging the OMCs on a daily basis in order to remove all the bottlenecks that may have encountered. In addition, our mission in Mozambique has been engaged to ascertain the situation on the ground and determine the extent of delays being experienced at the port of Beira and help to resolve any matters with our counterparts. Further, my ministry is closely working with other relevant government institutions such as the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, Ministry of Transport and Logistics, Zambia Revenue Authority, Cabinet Office, and the Presidential Delivery Unit using coordinated approach in resolving the current challenges. In the medium to long term, Mr. Speaker, the government is facilitating the construction of a bigger multi-product petroleum pipeline alongside the current existing Tazama pipeline. Further, private developers are being encouraged to develop other pipelines from our neighboring countries in order to adequately supply with fuel at a reduced cost. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member from Nkana constituency, in his notice, did also allude to reports that in some places in the northwestern province, fuel is fetching as high as 100 kwacha per liter. I wish to inform this august House that the energy sector is a regulated market by Energy Regulation Board, which is ERB, and is mandated by the Energy Regulation Act number 12 of 2019 to determine, to regulate, to review charges and pricing in the energy sector. To this effect, all licensed service stations across the country are expected to sell petroleum products at the prescribed price and below the prescribed price by the ERB. However, I recognize that in rural areas, due to the challenges faced as a result of poor network of service stations, such as Northwestern Province, there is a challenge of illegal fuel vending. This matter continues to receive attention from the Energy Regulation Board with the help of the law enforcement agencies. Mr. Speaker, the New Dawn administration is a government that operates within the confines of the laws of this great nation. I therefore wish to encourage Honorable Member from Nkana to report such businesses selling fuel beyond the prescribed price for to the ERB or indeed the law enforcing agencies. May I also take this opportunity to urge the public to refrain from engaging in illegal activities of fuel vending, as it constitutes to criminal offense and also poses risk to public safety, environmental pollution, and may also cause damage to petroleum equipment since the products are exposed to contamination. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the government of His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema, through my ministry, remains committed to making petroleum products readily available on market and accessible to all Zambians. I must hasten to indicate that monitoring of the fuel situation in the country is an activity we undertake on a daily basis through the Energy Regulation Board. Therefore, with the measures we have put in place, there should be no panic buying from the citizen. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement issued by the Honorable Minister of Energy. The Honorable Member for Nyimba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the 22nd, Mr. Speaker, allow me to advise the Minister that in the 22,000, I'm happy that you have been.
Honorable members, may you take your seat, Honorable? I think what you ought to do is to ask points of clarifications, not debating. so that the minister is able to respond. And let's ensure that we stick to the ministerial statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We need to slap Zimbabweans with the same anyway, so that we see who's going to suffer. Now, Mr. Speaker, Minister of Energy, looking at what is pertaining now in the fuel market, is there a reason why we are not stocking the 42,000 cubic meters at Indeni to its full capacity, so that in terms of these shocks, we can have where to land to? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. Mr. Speaker, Indeni is a government asset, and we need to understand when we made a policy shift, what is now the mandate of Indeni. Currently, Indeni is not stocking for government reserve. That is the position. And in my statement, I stated that government changed the policy in terms of procurement these petroleum products. The participation is entirely in the hands of the private sector. I thank you, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Member from Pika.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. In your own statement, Honorable Minister, you've stated that the government of the President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, will ensure that fuel is made available to the public as well as affordable. And I also appreciate your role as someone who is tasked with a responsibility to ensure that the promises of His Excellency the President are fulfilled. Government policies are made from promises that the party makes to the Zambian people.
Honorable Member, avoid debating. Just
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The question to the Honorable Minister, therefore, is when are you going to make fuel affordable at 9 kwacha as was promised during the campaigns? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. Mr. Speaker, when I was giving my statement, I did allude to the reason why we decided to move away from procuring the petroleum products. And also we went further to introduce the Tazama pipeline so that the price for the products is affordable to our people. Also, I've stated that in a longer term measures, we are trying to expand these pipelines, which will help us to reduce the prices of the products. Because, Mr. Speaker, if the situation was to continue in the fashion the previous administration was running the energy sector, this time petrol or pump price would have been reached, it would have reached 50 kwacha per liter. Thank you, Mr.
The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, once again, for allowing the people of Kwacha to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Energy. Apart from, Honorable Minister, apart from the reasons that you have advanced on the erratic supply of fuel in the country, we have numerous reports that ZRA is also at the core of perpetuating this erratic supply in the country by not clearing in good time.
Honorable Member, let's stick to the ministerial statement to avoid the unnecessary misrepresentation of the statement. So let's stick to what the minister has presented and interrogate what he has presented on the floor.
It's in the same line, Honorable Speaker, on the erratic supply of fuel, that we are having this erratic supply because the tankers that are coming through various points in borders, ZRA is not clearing these tankers in good time, and this is what has led to the erratic supply. I need a comment from the Minister on that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. Indeed, we had some challenges with ZRA, and this is not their own making, and this is the situation that we are going through in terms of load shedding. And also, in my statement, Mr. Speaker, I did mention that there was delay on the vessel that was supposed to offload to allow the OMCs to be cleared in time. Hence, it resulted in a congestion. And during load shedding, ZRA had no option is to operate in accordance to what we're supplying them in terms of electricity. But that issue, Mr. Speaker, has been attended to, and things will not be the same. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for giving a chance the people of Lundazi to make a follow-up question on this very important issue on the floor. Honorable Minister of Energy, in your statement, you indicated that Zimbabwe is charging $22,000 per truck. I'm worried, Honorable Minister, are we enjoying good relationships with Zimbabwe that they could charge $22,000 per truck? Are you in a position to inform this House whether you will soon be heading to Zimbabwe to go and meet, yes, the leaders, definitely, because this is an issue of, you know, having a poor relationship with a neighbor. We cannot suffer just because of the poor relationship which is existing between Zimbabwe and Zambia today. I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. Mr. Speaker, I want to state that we have good relationship with Zimbabwe to start with, and that introduction of the charge was not targeted for Zambia. It is an in-house policy to maintain and to correct certain things they felt that they are not moving very well. They were avoiding issues of dumping. It's not a target to Zambia. It's a policy for the country, which has affected us as a country because of using that route. But engagement at a higher level have already begun. We are engaging with our colleagues to see how we are going to address this matter. So there's nothing to worry that there's bad relationship and they were targeting the country. No, please, we have good relationship with the government of Zimbabwe. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to get a comment on why the government is not promoting those storages in the provinces. I believe, Mr. Speaker, there was a program of constructing fuel storages in all the provinces. Why hasn't the government continued supporting that agenda so that provinces are stocked with enough fuel for some time to overcome the certain changes of prices? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. Indeed, government did spend some good money to put up this infrastructure in our provinces. But in my statement, Mr. Speaker, I did say that because of the policy shift, government is no longer procuring petroleum products. Hence now, the issue of procuring petroleum products are entirely in the hands of the private sector. But of course, indeed, we are trying to review and see how we are going to utilize this infrastructure that were adopted across the country to make sure that the country becomes petroleum product secure. Those issues are being reviewed in relation to the policy that is running currently. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Nkana.
Energy Minister, in your statement, you confirm that your ministry or your government has decided to step out of the fuel subsector and leave it completely to the private sector. Whereas, Minister, you are aware that there's no government that steps out of the fuel subsector. You've proceeded to do that, leaving the country vulnerable to such happenings as this one. Would it not be magnanimous for government now, learning from this experience, that it is not correct for government to leave the fuel subsector completely in the hands of the private sector? Would it be prudent that you change this policy and allow government to still be part of the fuel subsector and utilize those storage facilities that we have across the country, so that peradventure in a time like what happened, you are able to have sufficient stocks to cushion the challenge and the need for fuel? I thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Member. Indeed, like I have responded, Mr. Speaker, to the Honourable Member for Kalabo, these are some of the issues we are reviewing, and this is the government that have said is committed to address the challenges that are affecting our people and indeed our economy. So this government is trying to review and see how we are going to utilize this infrastructure, and also to put in place mechanisms and systems that will give this country, the energy sector, secure. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Kasenengwa.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, through you, unfortunately in this country, issues of fuel have become extremely political. Now, considering the situation that happened in Mozambique, where there was a delay in loading up the tankers en route to Zambia, we experienced that problem. And then the minister has stated that they are thinking on how they can utilize those storage facilities we have in the provinces. What is the time frame, Honorable Minister, are you giving to us, the Zambians, when you will announce to this country, when you start utilizing those fuel facilities which are now sitting as white elephants in all the provincial capitals where they have been built? What time frame are we looking at to avert what happened in Mozambique? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, work is in progress, and we are working on this. And very soon, people will hear the way forward on how we are going to utilize the infrastructure that are adopted across the country. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kantanshi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, the Energy Minister on fuel is slowly sounding like his predecessor on electricity generation. Your predecessor was assuring us with no time frames.
Let's stick to the ministerial statement.
Mr. Speaker, the minister talked about the pipeline. That pipeline, I made a research right now. After all that taxpayers, millions of dollars, only 50% is being used 2 years down the line. Can the Minister give us an assurance when the optimal use will start so that we cut those logistical challenges he's talking about? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't get the question for the Honourable on the 50%.
I think may the Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once more. Honourable Minister, the pipeline was created in order to cut the costs of logistics in transportation of fuel. Now, I wanted to find out that 2 years down the line, the pipeline has only got a usage capacity right now of averagely around 50%. And in fact, furthermore, Mr. Speaker, only one client is using it up to now. Now, I wanted to find out from you, sir, when is government going to make sure that that pipeline is used 100% to avert these logistical challenges you just highlighted? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Honourable Member. First of all, Mr. Speaker, I need to correct that the usage of the pipeline is 80%, and the 20%, that's the one which goes to the we use the road. So currently, the pipeline is 80% usage. And also, Mr. Speaker, I want to inform the House that we are also doing some other activities, or we are introducing a drug reducer which will make the pipeline to move to 100% usage. Now, on the issue of saying there's only one player who is using the pipeline, that issue is not very clear with me, because what I know is we always give permits to other players, OMCs, to use the pipeline. But we need to put in mind that before the usage of the pipeline, there was a player who actually cleaned that pipeline, and we agreed to pay him in kind. I'll put it in that way, in kind, so that he can recover his capital that was invested on the pipeline. But all in all, Mr. Speaker, measures are being put in place to make sure that the usage of the pipeline becomes transparent, and even members of parliament would know which player is using this pipeline. Hence, Mr. Speaker, we are pushing for open access for the pipeline, which will help to clear the minds of the people to know exactly what is happening with their own asset. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Wengwa.
Thank you very much, Honourable Mr. Speaker. Minister, thank you very much for your statement. Now, Honourable Mr. Speaker, I'm very much disturbed. I was very much disturbed when I heard about the fee which the Minister of Energy found, which was left by the PF, $1 billion. And there are some people out there, the Zambian people, who may not maybe manage to translate how much is $1 billion. It's 26 billion kwacha by PF, which was not. And I just want to find out, because the same PF found, left also another debt in Mozambique, by the ship which docked, which was supplying electricity. The same PF also left debt under ZESCO. Now, just that, imagine, now a lot of billions of kwachas. Now, Honourable Minister, how much has the UPND government so far paid under the same debt which was left by the PF, and how much is the balance? So that at some point also, we should start chasing these people to find out, exactly where they took that 1 billion or 26 billion kwacha. Because the Zambian people really want to know. Because that is pure stealing from the Zambian people. 1 billion or 26 billion dollars. And we want to know where was that money taken from by the PF. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister.
May the honorable members take your seats. Honorable member for Rumeza and honorable member for Kalau. May the honorable minister respond.
That was a loaded question. Mr. Speaker, this is why sometimes it's very important, even before they start criticizing, they should do their introspection before they pass any statement. Because indeed, this is a huge debt that they left behind. And this government is working around the clock to make sure that we clear this debt. So far, Mr. Speaker, I will not be able to give exactly the amount, but we have paid more than 800 million towards this debt. But I can't give exactly what is the balance as at now. I would have prepared to bring those statistics, or maybe, Mr. Speaker, my experts are there. If they have that figure, we can. But I can see the body language. They were not ready to give how much balance we are remaining with. But we have done frantic efforts to clear this debt, as this administration is committed to service the people of this country.
The honorable member for Luanseshi.
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for the opportunity to ask a follow-up question. Honorable Minister, you are aware that Zambia, we still have a big problem where fuel is concerned. And you talked about long-term solution. Now, I would like to find out if you have plans, proper plans, to sit with our experts who should assist the government to come up with a lasting solution, taking into consideration that as long as we are importing from someone, at one point maybe that person or that country will have a problem. Issues to do with oil, we can't run away from that fact. What is it that we are going to do? How are we going to survive? Maybe just to repeat, Mr. Speaker, have you decided or do you have plans to sit with expert people who can able to find a lasting solution other than continue depending on those people from abroad? I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I did allude that as government, we are putting in place a number of interventions that will address this challenge that we are going through, especially arising from these current challenges that has happened with our colleagues. This is the more reason why the government is putting plans in place which will see the energy sector secure for this country. This is where you heard me that we are in the process. There's work which is going on. The experts that we are talking about, they have not just seated idle. They are reviewing certain policies, and also they are putting in place plans that will help this country to have energy secure sector. And also, this is the more reason you have heard a number of pipelines that we are planning to put in place. And there's work in progress. We have advanced. Very soon, we will not depend just on one country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, I want to find out from you, after changing the policy, can you state 3 successes that Zambian people are benefiting from changing the policy to the current one, since you know that the government is no longer participating in procurement of fuel, when we know that it's our backbone of our economy? Can you state 3 benefits that our people have benefited from your change of policy? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. 1, we have managed to keep the price within an affordable range. 2, we are facilitating the OMCs easy transportation of petroleum products using the pipeline. 3, we are able to have the stocks in the country safely. Even when we are going, if we left the situation the way it was with the past administration, I repeat, it would have been something else for this country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Kabwata.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, today is the 20th, and a few days from now, the 21st, a few days from now, ERB will be announcing the price of the reviews of price. There's a tendency by some oil marketing companies to hold on to fuel stocks 2 days, 3 days before ERB announces, thereby causing panic and confusion amongst the citizens. What measures have you put up in place so that these oil marketing companies do not abuse the citizens of this country? Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, the ERB are mandated to monitor and understand how the products are being distributed. I agree with you. Due to some human nature, sometimes others would want to hold to products until they hear that prices probably have gone high and so forth. But this is the mandate of ERB, and they have intensified to make sure that we keep on monitoring the movement of petroleum products to make sure that no OMCs holds to the product and wait for the prices to go up. A number of issues that are being reviewed and to enhance the mechanism that will help us to monitor these products in our country to avoid such kind of human nature in certain people.
The Honourable Member for Pemba. The Honourable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, through you, this problem of fuel or petroleum products will persist for as long as we are not involved in exploration. I want to find out from the Honourable Minister, this country is believed to have a lot of oil or petroleum reserves. And Mr. Speaker, I'll give an example. In my constituency, Chama South, in late 1980s, there was a company called Placid which started drilling in that area. We are told that they did not hit the well deliberately, and Kaunda, the late President Kaunda, even lamented over that. Do you have plans, Honourable Minister, to do petroleum exploration in Chama, and I know also in Western Province, so that in the long run we address this challenge? I submit, Honourable Speaker.
The Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honourable Member. We have taken note, but I can't respond to that because, Mr. Speaker, it was outside my ministerial statement. But, however, we have taken the proposal made by the Honourable Member, and it will be subjected to the experts to tell us what is required for us as a country to start exploring on the oil in this country. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, questions for oral answer under Standing Orders 8. The Honourable Member for Dundumwezi. The Honourable Member for Dundumwezi.
Dundumwezi. Your question. Yeah. Anybody that Let us stick
The Honorable Member for Dudumwezi.
Just a minute.
Just a minute, Mr. Speaker. I have a challenge with my internet. My phone is question number 46, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy is Acting Minister of Small and Medium Scale Enterprises Development. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Dundumwezi constituency, Mr. Singombe, asked the Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development the following questions. A, how many marketeers applied for booster loans under marketeer booster loan program?
Members or the Honorable Minister, there is a huge movement of members. Those that are going out, I'll use my discretion to mark you absent today and you may not be paid. So we expect everyone to be on seat, and our rules don't allow people that intentionally would want to collapse the sitting of the House. So it may, I'm observing how people are moving. So it may be punishable at the end of the day. May the Honorable Minister continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That how many marketeers applied for booster loans and marketeer booster loan program countrywide in 2022 and 2023, year by year? And B, of the applicants above, how many marketeers benefited from the program in Dudumwezi parliamentary constituency? Mr. Speaker, our response is as follows. In A, in its endeavor to empower citizens, government through CEEC has, among other products, dispersed marketeer booster loans to cater for low-income entrepreneurs. In 2022 and 2023, there were a total of 102,750 applicants, worth 513,750,000 kwacha. Out of the 102750 applicants, a total of 74,392 disbursements worth 153,292,433 kwacha was done, broken down as follows. In 2022, the number of applications 56,730, disbursements 30,591, which gives the total of those disbursements to 93,656,664. In 2003, the applications were 46,020, and the amounts were 230,100,000. Disbursements was 40,808, and the amounts were 59,635,769, which gives the total which I earlier mentioned. And B, Mr. Speaker, in responding to Part B of the question, I wish to start by informing the House that the empowerment products by government through CEC are disbursed at district and not constituency level. In this case, Dudumwezi parliamentary constituency is categorized under Kalomo district. To this effect, there were a total of 37 beneficiaries under the marketeer booster loans in Kalomo district, which includes Dudumwezi, worthy 125,601 kwacha. Mr. Speaker, I also wish to inform the House that government through CEC will relaunch the marketeer booster loan product, and we expect positive participation of rural marketeers including Dondumwezi parliamentary constituency. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Dundumwezi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, arising from your answer, it's clear that the response was couched to ensure that the people of Dundumwezi are not told how men got money from there. Because the question was specific about Dundumwezi. Now, your response is talking about a district level. What difficulties did you encounter in isolating people who got CEEC from Dundumwezi? Because we saw it happen here in Lusaka, where people just go, like on the show, in the showgrounds. People are getting the money there. But the people of Dundumwezi, I don't think there are more than 2 who got this money. What difficulty did you encounter in ensuring that you tell us how many people got from Dundumwezi and not Kalomo? Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, even here in Lusaka, I think that the policies that we apply through the district, we are not saying that Kalomo per se, in Kalomo. Kalomo district, which includes, how many questions do you have in Kalomo district? 2. Yes. So there's Dundumwezi and Kalomo itself. So we categorize on districts. That is how we count it. Whether it is coming, as long as it is Kalomo district, whether it is coming from Dundumwezi or Kalomo itself constituency, they are under that category. So it would be rather be difficult, because when they are entered as a district. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to find out from the Minister, when you look at the figures, 458 million for just one product, the market booster, is more than already the annual budget allocation for the entire budget for the CEC. Looking at the numbers, it's practically an indication that it's not possible for so many beneficiary applicants to benefit when they apply. Should we continue encouraging our members, especially from Dundumwezi, to apply law?
The Acting Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises Development.
Mr. Speaker, this is why I said earlier that we must encourage especially rural participants, because even if the amounts are not as sufficient as the member would want them to be, because even our budget itself falls below what we really require. But we are better off giving our people something to start with. And we probably need to continuously preach to our people. If it was a loan, they should be able to pay back so that it becomes revolving. But I cannot discourage people from doing this not to apply simply because the resource envelope is small. I would rather encourage them. In fact, the Honorable for Dundumwezi, whilst I'm not quite sure about how many got from Dundumwezi, but I will still encourage you to go and tell our people to apply. Whilst we getting what he is saying, money will never be sufficient. Right? That's why the PF kept borrowing, taking it somewhere else. So I will encourage my brother to continuously encourage our people. Yeah. What I'm saying is that this is why the PF continuously borrowed, but they were borrowing for very bad reasons. As we are distributing this in good faith, we have just said the Minister of Energy was saying that $1 billion is into that madness.
The Honorable Member for Dundumwezi.
Mr. Speaker, initially, I shouldn't have asked the Minister a follow-up question because he's simply acting. However, allow me, because I know he will report to his counterpart about the challenges that we face as a people of Dundumwezi. Honorable Minister, now that it is very clear that all the 37 who benefited from Kalumo district actually are people from Kalumo Central constituency. Because it's clear, I've done this survey, no one got from Dundumwezi. Are you going to consider Dundumwezi as a special case so that they can also access that money? We have, under CDF, Honorable Minister, put up markets, but the women and youths and old women who want to trade are unable because none of them has benefited these loans. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Small.
Thank you very much. Just acting, no. Woman, woman. I'm here. Government is government. So when another minister is not there, this one who takes charge is fully in charge. Yeah. So now coming to the people of Dundumwezi, this is why I said I would rather encourage them to apply, many of them, because I'm not quite sure when you said no one got, because the other time you said 2. But as of now, as we relaunch another package, please let us encourage our people. And this is why I specifically said rural areas. And your constituency is part of the rural areas. So we are now encouraging, because many of the people who are applying, and this is what the statement says. The statement knows that many who are applying are peri-urban, and very few people are applying from rural areas. So we encourage those people, those MPs who have rural constituencies, to encourage their people to apply. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The people of Lundazi are asking question 47.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Member of Parliament for Lundazi, Ms. Nyirende, is asking the Minister of Education when construction of a secondary school funded by the World Bank in Nyangwe area in the Lundazi district will commence. What the cause of the delay in commencing the project is, and C, what the estimated time frame for the completion of the project is. Mr. Speaker, I wish to inform the House that in A, the construction of Nyangwe Weekly Boarding Secondary School in the Lundazi district has already commenced. The project funds were dispersed on the 12th of June 2024, and work on the ground has advanced significantly. Most of the structures have already been excavated, and the project implementation committee, which consists of community members, is actively engaged in the procurement of building materials. This project is being implemented as a community-driven development, which is called CDD initiative, maximizing community engagement, promoting sustainable development, and leading to more successful and well-maintained infrastructure. And B, the delay in commencing the construction of Nyangwe Weekly Boarding Secondary School under Phase 2 of the Zambia Education Enhancement Project, ZIP, was due to the need to prepare, clear, and disclose the Environmental and Social Management Plan, ESMP. This requirement is mandatory for all World Bank funded projects. The ESMP for Phase 2 was prepared by the ministry, cleared by the World Bank, and officially disclosed on the 11th of June 2024, allowing construction to commence soon after. And C, the estimated completion time frame for all secondary school projects under the World Bank funded Zambia Education Enhancement Project ZIP, including Nyangwe Weekly Boarding Secondary School, is December 2025. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Minister, you indicated that the project already started. The excavations have been done. Rains are about to start. Right now, only foundations are there. Do you think those works are going to start this year?
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Honorable Member, we did excavations and what is it? Foundation. Yeah, you are aware of that since you have agreed. So, yes, the works have started. What was delaying actually was a problem of water, because I think they're collecting water from far-flung the areas. But what government has done is now to get Sunshine Drilling Company, which was doing the drills in Southern Province, but now it is headed for Eastern Province. So Nyangwe will have to have a borehole sunk there. So that is to quicken the slow pace which was experienced when there was drawing water from very far places. And also you are aware that if we use that method of drawing water from very far away, the slab wouldn't even hold. So we want first of all to quickly drill boreholes and then we start. Obviously, even during the rainy season, we can still continue building. So we have started, and this is why we're putting our completion as December 25. I know in some places they may finish even in June because they started at the same time. Unfortunately enough, for the six provinces, we started with 4 provinces, the first phase. Then the 6 provinces, including Eastern Province, came later. So the monies are being displaced, I think, to be displaced 3 times. Already that 8 million is already there, which they are procuring materials. So yes, we have started, and we hope when it reaches, Cape State, we release some more money. So I'm pretty sure if we have enough water, we may not even reach December 25th, but we are very careful in the way we are putting this deadline, because some will finish even before December. I know some projects which started, especially the phase 1, those might finish even in October. But our gut feeling is that we'll finish all the 120 by December 2025. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you so very much. Honorable Minister, we are celebrating 60 years of Zambia being an independent and unitary state. Though, Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether I should continue. There is no quorum in the House. If I should continue with my question.
Who has said there is no quorum?
Because
I'm the only presiding officer who is privileged to know those that have logged in virtually, those that are permitted, and those that are in the House. So other than myself, no one else could say there is no quorum. You may proceed with your question.
Honorable Minister, Zambia at 60. You've said this Nyangwe boarding school could be attended to by the end of December of the year 2025. knowing very well that as we celebrate 60 years of independence, rules change at any given time depending on who the referee is. Honorable Minister, are you going to change the contractor or you are going to maintain the same contractor? Bearing in mind that rules change based on who the referee is. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
I'm not quite sure which contractor is talking about, because there's nothing wrong with what we are doing. So where should we change? This is the community mode which World Bank, the community mobilized 25%. If I can tell somewhere else what they have done, some of them have even reached the window stage, whether or not, depending on the community themselves, if they mobilize quickly. But particularly for this Nyangwe secondary school, this one I think the delay has been because of water. And this is why we are now saying that we can go and drill a borehole there, so that the walls are not very difficult to raise. What is usually difficult to put up is the slab itself. Otherwise, the walls, within a short period of time, they are there. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, the community is expected to contribute. In Lundazi, we do not have any quarry. We do not have stones. We do not have the pit sand, except for some areas. Honourable Minister, what the community is supposed to contribute in terms of the 25%, maybe can only be in labor terms or something else. What is your ministry going to do? Because we buy quarry from Chipata. We buy stones from Chipata. What are you going to do to ensure that the slab you are talking about should be done in time? Because we do not have those materials available in Lundazi. I submit.
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Yeah, mostly what we ask the community, mostly, is usually labor itself. Otherwise, I think when I talk about materials, I think we classify everything as materials. So anyway, I'll verify first of all just to follow it up. But otherwise, when we talk about community, we mostly talk about their labor. Okay, if the excavation is done by them. Yeah.
Next question, the Honourable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question number 48.
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Miyutu wants to ask the Minister of Health, A, what the prevalence of prostate cancer in the country was as of April 2024. In B, what the most affected age group was. And in C, what measures are being taken to enhance prostate cancer awareness countrywide. Our response. Mr. Speaker, allow me to indicate that prostate cancer is a type of cancer that affects the prostate gland in men. The prevalence rate for prostate cancer as of April 2024 was 8.8 per 100,000 population. Mr. Speaker, allow me to highlight to this August House that Zambia records 1,642 cases of prostate cancer per annum, with 863 deaths, which means 50% of those affected. Mr. Speaker, in B, the most affected age group is the elderly between ages 70 and 79. This is followed by 60 to 69, then 50 to 59, and then 40 to 49, meaning the older you are, the more risk you are. In C, Mr. Speaker, government recognizes that prostate cancer is a significant health concern. Therefore, to enhance prostate cancer awareness countrywide, the following are the measures being taken. 1. Government, through the Ministry of Health, has developed the National Cancer Control Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026, which outlines several key objectives and strategies to address various cancer, including prostate cancer. Mr. Speaker, number 2 is public sensitization campaign. Government, through the Ministry of Health, partners with organizations like the Prostate Cancer Foundation of Zambia, Prostate Campaign Zambia, and the Zambia Cancer Society, who are actively involved in spearheading awareness about prostate cancer. They emphasize the importance of regular screening and early detection. These campaigns include distribution of information, educational materials on prostate cancer, radio and television talk shows, and through congregate settings like church and sports events. Mr. Speaker, and 3, educational programs through community health outreach programs where men are educated on the symptoms and risks of prostate cancer. This also includes information on the importance of screening and the benefits of early detection. Number 4, mentorship and training of primary health workers to create awareness in the community on the signs and symptoms of prostate cancer, to be able to perform early detection, screening, and early health seeking behavior by men. These initiatives, among others, aim to improve the overall health and well-being of men across Zambia by promoting screening, early detection, and management of prostate cancer. Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity to encourage all men above the age of 40 years to get screened for prostate cancer. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May the souls of the deceased, those who died of the prostate cancer, rest in eternal peace. Mr. Speaker, I've raised this question not out of assumption. I've raised this question from a practical issue which has occurred in my family. And I've observed the nature of the workers towards prostate cancer. The minister, quite all right, has responded through that written text. But if I was to take the minister to Karau, he would observe that his responses are not available. Mr. Speaker, is the minister aware that the sensitization he's talking about is none available in Karau? Is the minister aware that that sensitization he's talking about is not there, but here in Lusaka? What is the government doing practically? Mr. Speaker, let us face the reality. Practical measures which are visible in the people, in the community. Not just transferring sins which happen here in Lusaka, then you transfer that sin in a, I don't know what mechanism, so that it replicates in those rural areas where the people are heavily affected. Honorable Minister, what practical measure that we can observe there in Karau, where you find, Mr. Speaker, my cousin died. That's the source of this question. It's not just from the air, not from the blues, This is a situation which has occurred. The way men are being handled, at what stage does this man know that he has prostate cancer? Only at death point. Honorable Minister, I want practical measure. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And Honorable MP, we thank you for your follow-up question. Indeed, we are in the era of denial ourselves. We have not been very effective in communication, and cancer is a silent disease. But here we are saying we need awareness, and also through my colleagues here, members of parliament. After listening to this, you should help us. It is quite costly also for the ministry to go everywhere, but we are saying through radio, TV, we need to bring this awareness to the people, especially on the symptoms, especially the colleagues who are in health, those who are trained, like Dr. Kalila, coming closer from there, should be helping us when Parliament adjourns to bring awareness to people within there, the colleagues like nurses and what have you, to tell them exactly to bring this. We have taken note. We have actually taken in note that we need to up our strategy. This strategy which we just put in the offices, no, we need to be practical. I'm very, very grateful to you and this government which wants to observe the universal health care needs to take this seriously, because it's a silent killer. You can imagine out of 1,600, half of which die. We need also to be proactive. We need to go to areas. And indeed, it's not only in Kalabo. Even in my area where I come from, people have died of cancer. One is because they don't know how the symptoms come about. And if we sensitize our community effectively, we shall avoid it, because cancer can be treated. This is, yes, at the early stages, but the problem is it's only discovered at the late stages when it's already in stage 4. That's what, I mean, the professionals can tell you. So we appreciate exactly what you have echoed here. We sympathize, but now we have to change our strategy. We need to reach out. There is an outreach program. This outreach program should reach the last mile in the country. We need to be with you. We need also to liaise with my colleagues, the MPs, councillors, and especially the health care officers. Indeed, it's killing us. And also we don't have time and money to evacuate everyone. We need to go using the flying doctor and other means. And even those mobile hospitals, we need to bring them back so that we can attend to our people. It's a desire of your president that we need to be closer to the people as much as possible. We sympathize, and it is of great concern. We are losing a lot of people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next question, the Honourable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question 49.
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Member of Parliament for Gwembe, Mr. Simuzingire, asked the Minister of Education whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate Pepo Secondary, boarding secondary school in the Gwembe district, which is in a dilapidated state. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. C, what the cost of the exercise is. D, what the time frame for undertaking the exercise is. And E, if there are no such plans, why? Mr. Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the government has plans to rehabilitate Pepo Boarding Secondary School in Gwembe District, which is in a dilapidated state. B, the plans will be implemented in the 2025-2027 medium-term framework, subject to availability of funds. C, the cost of the exercise is over 13 million kwacha. as indicated in the needs assessment report, covering learning areas, dormitories, ablution blocks, and sick bay. And D, the time frame for undertaking this exercise will be known when the Treasury sources the funds and plans are prepared and the contractor is engaged. And E, due to the response in Part A, and Part E falls off. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Minister, for the answers. We appreciate that you acknowledge that Chipepo Secondary School is indeed in a dilapidated state. And we also appreciate the measures that you'll be able to take. We thank you, Honourable Minister. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the Honourable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question 50.
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honourable Tembo asks the Minister of Agriculture whether the government is aware of the stored irrigation project under the Strengthening Climate Resilience of Agricultural Livelihoods in Agroecological Regions, which is KRALA, in Katonde Ward in Feira Parliamentary Constituency. And B, if so, what measures the government is taking to complete the project? And then C, what the estimated cost of completion of the project is. And finally, D, when the project will be completed. Mr. Speaker, our responses are as follows. A, yes, government is aware of the stored irrigation project under the SCLARA program in Katonde Ward in Feira Parliamentary Constituency. On B, government resumed the works on the stored irrigation scheme and has so far conducted the site surveys and assessments. C, the estimated cost of completion of the project, Honourable Speaker, is $120,000 United States dollars. And D, the proposed date of completion is December 2024. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Next question. The Honourable Member for Nyimba.
Question 51.
You took time to indicate. When the Minister finished, there was no one, Honourable Member. You may proceed with a supplementary question. Let's ensure that when the Minister has finished responding, we're able to indicate. If I see there is none, then I take it that the answer has covered all your areas that you needed to be. Yeah. So, however, you are free. You can ask the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for your guidance. We wanted to wait for you to call upon us. Yeah, indeed, I thank you, Minister, and just one follow-up question. I appreciate that, the works have resumed, but I wanted to find out, apart from the site survey, what else was, boreholes were drilled, but, there were no installations that were made in order, for the boreholes to start the irrigation project. I thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Honourable Mr. Speaker, I think what is important is that the works have resumed. Exactly what has been done, I might not know, and why they have just drilled the borehole and not installed the equipment, I might not know, so I would be guessing. But I can assure you that we are working on all these odd programs, and we are fixing them one by one. I thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the Honourable Member for Nyimba.
Question 51. Sure.
The Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, the Defence Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member of Parliament for Nyimba constituency, Honourable Menyan Zulu, asks the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security the following questions. A, whether the government has any plans to rehabilitate staff houses at Nyimba Police Camp in Nyimba District. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. And C, if there are no such plans, why? Mr. Speaker, in responding to the question asked by the Honourable Member, I wish to state as follows. A, the government is aware of the dilapidated housing units in Nyimba Police Camp and Nyimba District and has plans to rehabilitate them. Then B, the plans will be implemented when funds are made available. So we have the plans, however, the money is short, and when the money is available, we shall be able to rehabilitate the housing units. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next question. The Honourable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is number 52.
The Acting Minister of Trade and Industry, the Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, Honourable Nakaponda asks government what the ownership structure of Mulungushi Textiles in Kawe district is, and B, what the major challenges that hamper the company's operations are, and C, when the company will resume operations. Our answers, Honourable Speaker, are as follows. A, the Zambia-China Mulungushi Textiles Joint Venture, ZCMT, is a partnership between IDC, which is Industrial Development Corporation of Zambia. It owns 34%. And the Chinese government, through Wenzhou General Textiles Corporation, they owe 66%. Excuse my pronunciation, it could be Xindao. Xindao. B, the major challenge hampering the operations is that about 80% of the machinery, Honourable Nakaponda, is obsolete. And so there is no need for heavy recapitalization and modernization. There is need for heavy recapitalization and modernization of the equipment. This is being addressed as the company is in the process of importing equipment for phase 1 of the recapitalization. And in C, Honourable Speaker, the company is expected to resume operations before the end of this year. Phase 1 of it. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having listened carefully to the response given by the Honourable Minister, I would like to encourage government or the Minister that we want to see the resumption of Mulungushi Textiles so that our people, especially youths, women, and men, will be provided with employment. And by so doing, they're going to be It's just a comment, it's not a question, because he has provided everything. I'm just commenting. He has given the answers. We want our men and women to be employed. So we want government to move on fast. I submit, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kankoyo.
I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Mulungushi textile, just like the Mufulira Ndora Road, has been used by so many presidents for commissioning, official opening, commissioning, official opening, but nothing happens. Tomorrow.
Honorable Member, may you ask your question? There's a very energetic minister in infrastructure that will tackle that one. You may proceed with your...
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to inform the nation that tomorrow, the Minister of Infrastructure, Honorable Mumba, we've been in Ndora to do the groundbreaking finally for the Mundora-Mufulira Road. Now, I want the Minister of Commerce to assure the people in Kawe that just like what is happening in Mufulira, where that road was commissioned 5 times, but nothing happened, but tomorrow, the dream for the people of Mufulira is coming into reality. Is Mulungushi going to open? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Commerce.
Thank you very much. A very important question. Mr. Speaker, on the 28th of August, the Substantive Minister of Commerce received 15 containers of equipment which is coming and is being installed as we are talking. So this time it is not a campaign gimmick, it is not a joke. This government does what it says. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
The Acting Leader of Government Business Adjournment.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the House do now adjourn.
The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate, any objection? Yeah. The question is agreed to. The House? Is now adjourned.
Good afternoon. There you have it. Business has come to a close today, Tuesday, 22nd October 2024. Remember, tomorrow business starts at 09 hours, so you can always make a date with us for a continuation of live parliamentary proceedings. Just about now, we'll have a look at what has been considered on the floor of the House. We did have quite a number of announcements from the Second Deputy Speaker. He did recognize the presence in the public gallery of students and lecturers from Kwezo University in Lusaka District, and also pupils and teachers from St. John's Secondary School in Lusaka District. And so on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, he warmly welcomed the visitors.
Mr. Second Deputy Speaker also recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Matero Boys Secondary School in Lusaka District. And so on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, Mr. Second Deputy Speaker warmly welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly. In the other announcement, Mr. Second Deputy Speaker informed the House that he had received communication to the effect that in the absence of Her Honor the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Minister of Defense, Honorable Ambrose L. Lufuma MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, 22nd October 2024, until further notice.
All right, and so we did have a motion that was moved by the acting leader of government business, that's Honorable Lufuma, that Standing Orders 24 and 27 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, be suspended to enable the House to sit from 09 hours to 13 hours on Wednesday, 23rd October 2024, and the motion was resolved in the affirmative, meaning tomorrow the House will sit from 09 hours up to 13 hours.
After that motion, the Minister of Energy did present a ministerial statement. This was on the erratic fuel supply being experienced in the country.
The Minister did say that the government disengaged from procurement and financing of petroleum products in 2022, and that this policy was driven by, the following issues. I'll just cite some of them. That's the previous administration had accumulated a debt of close to $1 billion United States dollars on the supply of petroleum products due to inefficiencies in the management of supply contracts, and it was a desire of the administration to provide efficiency in pricing and the supply chain so as to pass on the benefits to the Zambian people, and the inefficient operations at Indian refineries coupled with double handling of petroleum products proved costly and led to higher pump prices on the market.
And so the minister did say that his ministry is closely working with other relevant government institutions such as the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, and also Ministry of Transport and Logistics, Zambia Revenue Authority, Cabinet Office and the Presidential Delivery Unit, using a coordinated approach in resolving the current challenges. And he did say that in the medium to the long term, the government is facilitating the construction of a bigger multi-product petroleum pipeline alongside the current existing Tazama pipeline.
Right, and so he did say that in addition, the mission in Mozambique has been engaged to ascertain the situation on the ground and actually determine the extent of the delays being experienced at the port of Beira and help resolve any matters with the counterparts. And he did say that the ministry is closely working with other relevant government institutions such as the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Yes, and so refrain from engaging in illegal activities of fuel vending, as it constitutes a criminal offense and also poses a risk to public safety, environmental pollution, and also that it may cause damage to petroleum equipment since the products are exposed to contamination.
All right, and that's the ministerial statement that was delivered by the Minister of Energy. That's just a brief, and of course the House did consider 7 questions for oral answer understanding order number 8. Would have loved to go through some of them, but unfortunately we have to cross over to a live committee. Remember, the Planning and Budgeting Committee is currently receiving submissions from various committees. This is in line with the sector budget analysis. And just now we cross over to the committee. Good afternoon.
You don't need to suffer from low.
My colleague from Rwanda, that's the question I had, but I'll put it differently because also that was my worry that AG, on one hand, is saying
no, most of these SOs are distressed, but again is recommending that they borrow. But maybe a further question to AG Chair is that I would have thought, AG, that maybe by this time, because these 2 institutions are saying they undertook a credit risk assessment, I would have thought that maybe probably you had you had gone through that particular document before you, by the time you were making this submission to us, that even you yourself, you are certain whether what is contained in that credit risk assessment could guarantee that these institutions could be able to pay these monies. Chair, maybe another smaller one would be that in the eventuality that both institutions, Zambia National Building Society and the Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, failed to pay, what impact will it have on the treasury? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable General, can you respond to this? Then we'll go to Honorable Nkosa.
Thank you so much, Chair. For the questions, starting with the first question, institutions get money and they fail to implement. Chair, what is supposed to happen is that, let me start from personal level. If today I want to do a project and I want to borrow, the first thing that I'm supposed to do is to do an investment appraisal to understand whether that project is going to give me the desired return. Taking this further, even institutions like the ones that we are talking about, my belief is that a proper investment appraisal has been done for us to know whether this which they are trying to invest in is a viable project, because that is really the first thing to do. So this risk assessment that they are talking about should be comprising things to do with investment appraisal and whether there will be a proper return from this investment. Because if it does not give you the required return, you look at your cost of borrowing and say, look, we are borrowing at so much, but what we are getting is so much. There is no need to go into that kind of investment. So the people who did the risk assessment, my belief is that they went through the process that I'm talking about, because that is the first thing to do. In most cases, we have had institutions in the past which borrowed money. Like I said, they borrowed money, they never implemented projects. In some cases, money was put into something else. What was missing is exactly what I'm talking about. Even at a personal level, you want to borrow, you must do your risk assessment, you must do your investment appraisal to understand whether you are going to get a return on your investment. So, why should we direct our efforts? Why should the Zambian people support this kind of borrowing? It's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, if a borrowing has got a positive return, there's no reason why we should not go into it. As long as we know that people are going to benefit from this particular investment. We have seen, I think, why the Zambia National Building Society wants to borrow is to lower the cost of housing, I think, if I read what is in here. But what is important is, are we going to get a positive return from this investment? Failure to pay back, so why are we supporting them? Chair, if you picked my thought, I actually said we did an analysis of this in my report which I produced 2006 to 2022. We did notice that a number of SOEs, government guaranteed money, but they failed to pay. So the recourse was on the treasury, because those were guaranteed loans. So if they fail to pay, government has got to take over the loans. But what is happening now, since the passage of this law that we're talking about, there is no state-owned enterprise now which is allowed to borrow without coming to Parliament. I may be corrected if you've seen one, but from what I know is that they are not allowed to borrow before they present what they've presented to you now, what you're considering, and Parliament has got to approve. So perhaps that failure to pay, we are talking about in the past. So that is the situation. It is always important to do a due diligence in anything that we are trying to invest in. You see? Risk assessment, the people who are responsible for doing the risk assessment are the people who are charged with the responsibility of undertaking this particular activity. My responsibility, if I get involved in the actual risk assessment, the problem that is there is that the issues of independence start coming in, because I will not be able to go back and check. So my responsibility is to go and check whether they have done what they were supposed to have done. That's the reason why we could not be involved in the risk assessment. Chair, I hope I've tried to clarify. My colleagues, I think...
Yeah, very briefly, because I need to give time to Honorable Mukwasa to ask the last question.
Thank you, Chair. And just to mention on the issue of why we are recommending on the table, it shows it's not performing. just members can take note that this was just to give a historical background as to where we're coming from. If you can look at the table, you can see that ZICB and ZMBS were not part of those who are cited in terms of the inability to pay the loans. So in terms of what we are doing, this is exactly what the Act requires, the submission of the risk assessment and seeing to it that the ratios indeed are positive. And I can confirm that, yes, Chair, though we're not part of the team that did the risk assessment, we did peruse through, and the balance sheet were looking healthy for those two institutions. Thus, we're recommending in the other section. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mkosa.
Thank you, Chair. The first thing I want to talk about is where AG. Chair, I should say the AG used to drop me every day when I was in when I was in school. He's the one who was assisting me with transport every day. Every time I knocked off, he's the one who was dropping me. Yeah, so I declare a bit of interest.
But somebody has to respond.
So now, AG, like I was saying, these institutions, you know, you and me, as from our professional backgrounds, we will understand that there is no way these two institutions would borrow money without undertaking an investment appraisal or investment appraisals. But we have had a record of, you know, government institutions or ministries engaging in borrowings without undertaking investment appraisals. I'll give you an example. Remember, you know, we bought those milling plants, $200 million. When those were bought, I was thinking, but did the government do an investment appraisal? Then it was discovered that, no, actually, there was no investment appraisal that was done. So I wanted to mention that on that particular one, AG, we really need to think through it to see if it is appropriate to make a recommendation on the basis that we have not confirmed if the investment appraisals were done. I say so for the second reason, because one of the biggest risk that is there with these two borrowings is the risk, foreign exchange risk exposure. From all the witnesses that we have had interactions with as a committee on planning and budgeting, and from all the documents that we have, Auditor General, I can tell you that I have not come across any information that is suggesting that this risk is going to be managed in a certain way. None. There is no risk management measure to manage the foreign exchange risk.
Okay.
Now, I have a question, Chair. I have noticed in your submission where you have indicated, Auditor General, that your office will ensure that every debt that is contracted is done in line with the provisions of the Public Management Act number 15 of 2022, which is possible. This you can do. Then you further said, and that all proceeds from these processes are used for the intended purposes and correctly recorded in the financial statements of government. Now, AG, your work comes after the money has been used. So how are you going to do this? Because most of the time, you can ensure that yes, the contraction of debt is done in line with the Public Debt Management Act number 15 of 2022, but on the usage, it's difficult for your office to ensure that they use the money for the intended purposes. But I know that it's easy for you to come and detect afterwards that the money was not used for the intended purposes. So how do you intend on achieving this, where you said you will ensure that the proceeds from these processes are used for the intended purposes? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. AG, you can respond.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Your mic.
Thank you, Chair. I declare that the honorable member were together. So, yeah, Chair, those are very valid questions, Chair. But what I can say is that I think it will be prudent for this committee to interrogate this a little bit further, especially the issues that we were talking about, the investment appraisal, because most of the projects, if you notice, and the members are right, because some of the projects failed because we didn't do what we were supposed to do, you see. We didn't do what we were supposed to do. Some of them, the intentions were good, but because we missed certain steps, then everything failed. Now, for the risk exposure, again, this is another issue, and this is a very important issue. So how do they deal with it? I don't know whether they've got some hedging strategies which they've put in place. Again, this is something that I think the Honorable Committee can probe further with the institutions. But all things equal, if everything was done correctly, all these issues should have been looked at. Because the risk assessment should cover all these things we are talking about. Now, as for the usage, because we come later, yes, indeed we come later and make recommendations, but there is something that we have been doing of late, which nothing stopped us from carrying out live audits actually. We are doing that right now with this program on debt, on drought. We are carrying out a live audit, so everything that is happening, we keep on checking as it's going on. So there is nothing that stops us from undertaking such activities. I'll allow my director.
Thank you.
And also, honorable members may wish to note that the internal auditors who sit in those institutions on a daily basis, according to the Public Financial Management Act, are required to produce internal audit reports. So send us reports quarterly. So if anything is flagged at that point, already it gives us a point of going into there to mitigate further damage to any misappropriation. And also to respond to other comment as to whether indeed an investment appraisal was done, and as to whether we had sight of it. And I would like also to mention that honorable members may wish to note that these institutions such as the European Investment Bank, the ADB, have got also rigorous process within themselves. So even before the bank considers giving this money to Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, it means the bank has done some parameters and they have satisfied the requirements. But however, on our side, this is the first time we're doing this as a government. Remember, in the past it was not done. So this exactly now is a measure to say, okay, can you give us your risk assessment, which the ministry has done, and indeed, as OAG went there independently, we reviewed those documents independently, and indeed did the ratios and did find that the balance sheet for these institutions were adequate in terms of assimilating these borrowings. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, honourable members will not take any more questions. We have an arrangement. The next witness, AG, is appearing before this committee at 17 hours sharp and outside the country. So we just have about 3 minutes to prepare for the witness. That's what I said. So we end here. But also just to request you, AG, we asked the Ministry of Finance to provide with us the credit risk assessment tomorrow for these two. I think that one I can mention because those are the institutions you look at. So the acting PS, Minister of Finance, is providing that credit risk assessment tomorrow. And we, as a committee, we are requesting that we give you that report so that we hear your comments based on that. So in terms of how it will be done, I think our colleagues will communicate with you. we want to see the credit risk assessment from the ministry. So we'll call upon you during this time we are sitting to get your further comments on that, so that you can also help this committee going forward to help us make the right decision. Okay, one member, sorry for that. I know you may have other questions, but I think we still have a window to interact with them, as I have indicated. So in terms of the provisions, capital of the laws of Zambia, in terms of the immunity, that which was given to you earlier on, Dr. General, to end here. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you for having us.
My eParliament mobile application. First, download the app on either Play Store or App Store and install. After installation, open the app. Step 1. Register your personal information, that's your names, gender, NRC and date of birth. Step 2. Add your contact information, your email, phone number and home address. Step 3. Select your constituency. Step 4. Create your 4-digit PIN. At this point, the system will send an SMS to your mobile number with a one-time passcode. Step 5. Confirm with one-time passcode that was sent to your mobile. Step 6. Sign in using your phone number and the 4-digit PIN. And Step 7. Create your submission and submit. My eParliament, bringing Parliament closer to you.
Zambia. Even saying the word is a multi-sensory experience. It somehow captures something of the essence of this special place in the warm heart of southern Africa. Take in the mighty Zambezi River, the majestic Victoria Falls that form Zambia's natural southern border, and the national parks overflowing with wildlife. Immerse yourself in the fast-growing towns and cities, teeming with history, light, and life. Then visit the vast lakes that seem to touch the stars and engage with the plethora of different ethnic groups, cultures, and languages. Together, they make up the intricately woven fabric of this remarkable country. To visit Zambia is to begin a love affair that will never be exhausted, and unlike any that you have ever experienced before. For all the superlatives that man has used in his attempts to describe Victoria Falls, none are able to do this incredible natural wonder justice. You have to see it for yourself. It is a truly awe-inspiring experience. Livingston, once Zambia's capital, and the Zambian side of the falls have become a mecca for discerning adventure tourists. Peer into the abyss from Devil's Pool at the edge of the falls. Career down the powerful rapids from Batoka Gorge in a whitewater raft. Bungee jump from the historic Victoria Falls Bridge. Or fly over the falls on a flight of angels. Whatever activity you choose, you'll be left with a renewed appreciation for the sheer might of nature. Kafue National Park is amongst the biggest in Africa and is home to more than 130 species of mammal and more than 400 bird species. Enjoy the wildlife from a different perspective on a boat cruise or a canoeing or walking safari. For sheer density of game, South Luangwa National Park is second to none. It certainly lives up to its nickname as the Valley of the Leopard. The stunning Liuwa Plains play host to the world's second largest wildebeest migration. and boasts some of the most striking vistas you will see anywhere in Africa. At Kasanka National Park, you can view the largest mammal migration in the world when each November, literally millions of fruit bats cover the skyline as the sun sets. Zambia's bodies of water are as abundant as its wildlife. Although it is landlocked, this country has more water than any other in Africa. There are the long, meandering rivers, some of which are interspersed by waterfalls that are only narrowly surpassed by Vic Falls. Then there are the lakes, from the vast, remote Lake Tanganyika, far in the north of the country, which is one of Africa's Great Lakes, to Lake Kariba, Africa's biggest man-made dam. Kariba is an increasingly popular beach holiday destination that is strangely reminiscent of the French Riviera. Or for the best bath of your life, visit the incredible Kapisha Hot Springs. Another unique aspect of this remarkable country are the Zambians themselves. The country is home to 72 different ethnic groups and languages, all of whom have their own diverse cultural traits and traditions. One thing they do have in common, they are all unfailingly warm.
Public bodies external borrowing plan for the year 2025, and especially we're just looking at Zambia. My vice, Honorable Miranda, and the Honorable Jamba. Capital of the laws of Zambia, always as usual, Governor gives you a mute when you're appearing before the committee. The provision you are well vested with. And we have your submission, which basically is about 5 pages. So I was wondering whether you can manage, say, within, say, 15 minutes, maximum, just to give us your views or certain points on the matter. And I will give you another 15 minutes for the members of this committee to ask questions. So my intention is that by 17:30 Zambian time, then we should be done. Having said that, Governor, maybe you can start with your presentation.
Thank you, some of the members. With me here, who are physically, the Deputy Governor of Operations, Dr. Francis Kipima, the Director of Research, Dr. Jonathan Kiri, the Director for Prudential Supervision is Ines Mambo. There are other colleagues who are online. Zambia, the Deputy Governor, Administration, the Webpage phone number is also online, plus other stuff. In the interest of time, I hope it's okay just to mention those for now, Chair.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you once again for this opportunity, Honorable Chair and the Honorable members, to interact with yourselves. First, let me once again also thank you for finding time to interact with us in Livingston. We believe that was a very fruitful interaction.
Sure.
So, hope to continue interacting with yourselves for the better. Today, we come before you to look at the borrowing by two state organizations, state-owned enterprises, Zambia National Building Society and the Zambia Industrial Commission Bank. Chair, this comes to you as the provisions of the public aid